Okay. Ready, Eddie? Yo. Okay. It's 7:30, and I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Riverwoods. Would you please stand with me and say the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Ford,
Present.
Trustee Clayton.
Here.
Trustee Dickon. Here. Trustee Eastman. Trustee Hollander.
Here.
Trustee Jamerson.
Here.
Trustee Smith is absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. One of the first orders of business is something I really enjoy doing, and it's such a privilege to do, and that is swearing in a new officer. So Sergeant Kirby, will you help us? And Deputy Clerk Hofeld. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, Chris is going to do it. Thanks.
Okay.
I'd like to introduce him really quick first. This is Andrew Golick. He comes to the Riverwood Police Department. He spent 5 years with the DuPage County Sheriff's Office in the corrections division. After that, he went to the Glenview Police Department where he served for 22 years before retiring. He served as a patrol officer, a detective sergeant, a patrol sergeant, and right before he left, he made rank of commander. He functioned as commander for at least a year. He's also a highly acclaimed evidence technician, which we're really glad. We're really excited to have him here. He's joined here by his family today. His wife Shannon is here. His sister-in-law, where'd you go? Jennifer. And his son Jacob is here, and he also has his nephew, Joe. And he has 3 sons, but he's one of me. Let's take a picture real quick.
Make sure you smile.
Might not get a picture with the baker again. Right. Do it like this.
And on also a happy note, but maybe a little sad note, we're going to say thank you to Russ Crayley this evening. And this is Russ's last Riverwoods board meeting. At least I think it's his last. I wanted to say a personal thank you for sticking around. Russ and I worked together during my plan commission days. He cooked lunch with my husband, Mike, when Mike was the village clerk, and stood by me as I entered my time as mayor. Russ is the great mediator. Russ retired once from Riverwoods, but then answered the call when the village found itself without a director of community services and, as a practical matter, without a building department. He's lived Riverwood's history, the good, the bad, and sadly, sometimes the ugly. His time was up, but he agreed to stay on with me. I've had more than one resident express gratitude for his even-handedness, his willingness to find a way of help, and generally his ability to see both sides of an issue. He's helped me get on my feet. He keeps my feet on the ground, too. He's calmed the storms and was generous with his advice. He is, after all, a mayor of his community, too. Russ, you will be missed greatly. Sometimes only a man's work is what is missed, but with Russ, I will especially miss the man, as I think we all will. I want to say thank you, Russ. And we've got a little something for you that I think marks your time here. And I'm going to, it's a, I don't know, here, I'll hold it up and break it. It's, and it says, Russell S. Craley, Director of Community Services, honoring the great mediator. He left our village better than he found it twice. Re-retirement date, September 30, 2023.
Yes. Well, I gotta say, I said I've been here, what, about 23 years. I've always had a great time. People here have been super. The board's always been supportive, and coming back was not a chore. I mean, I needed back in the COVID. I've had a good time. Well, I always told Chris, if you need something, call me.
Oh.
Okay, see ya. All right, guys.
Bye, Russ.
Bittersweet. Moving on. First item of business, approval of the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting of September 19th, 2023. Do I have a motion for approval, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion, corrections, additions?
Second.
Trustee, yeah, you seconded it. Any corrections, additions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. All
Aye.
opposed?
I abstain. I wasn't
That's
here.
one abstention? Yes, okay. Thank you, passes. The Treasurer and Finance Report. First item of business is, oh, I'm sorry.
No,
No, that was the minutes.
That's the minutes.
Yes, I'm aware. I just want to remind you that you have to vote. You need 4 votes for the bills.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
If someone mistakes.
Okay. First item of business under Treasurer and Finance Report is the approval of bills. Do I have a motion for approval of the bills?
So moved.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Trustee Jamerson, please.
The BSNA software, it looks like based on the notations that it's a yearly maintenance. Is that correct? Does anybody know?
I wish I could answer that for you. I know that's one of the ones I held back from the last, because of the size of the bill. Let me take a look.
It just looks like it because it says 1023 to 1024. And I'm not complaining about it, but it's less than what they had in their proposal, much less, which makes me happy.
Well, that's, yes,
But I'm
that's a
just hoping
plus.
another one isn't coming down the pipe.
Okay, would you like to hold that back? Okay.
Nope.
Then
just-
I'll note the question and we'll get back to you all with an answer.
That would be great, thanks. And don't tell them it's less than,
No, 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 no. That's- Are there any other questions or comments on the bills? Okay, roll call, please.
Aye.
Sorry. Trustee Dickon?
Aye.
Trustee Hollander?
Aye.
Trustee Jamerson?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Also under Treasurer and Finance Report are the financial reports for the third quarter. Trustee Clayton?
Yes, ma'am. I think I'd like to start with the revenue and expenditure report. It was behind the cash report. So this is the three-quarter point of the year. So when you're looking at the right-hand column, with regard to the percent of the budget used, 75% is obviously the magic number. If revenues are above the 75%, that's a good thing. If expenditures are above the 75%, that's a bad thing. So starting with administrative revenue, which is the first line, Department 101, and looking at the year-to-date activity, when we compare year over year and compare to the budget, we are running ahead on both. That looks to be primarily due to sales tax receipts, excise tax receipts, and the famous miscellaneous receipts, offset a little bit by an overestimation of the hotel tax. Also running well ahead of budget in terms of revenue is the building department, thanks to the hailstorm, apparently, more than anything else. The police department revenue is trending higher than budget. And so all in all, our revenue seems to be tracking well with our budget. With regard to expenditures, you can note a significant increase in activity in the administration department. That is due to hardware, meeting expense, software, timing, and consulting budgets. All other expenses are at or below budget. So if you roll all the way down to the bottom where it says operating net income revenue, you can see that we're down a little bit from last year, but significantly ahead of the deficit that we had forecast for the full year in the budget. A little bit of that is timing, but we are doing well from a revenue and expense point of view. Scrolling down to the sewer fund, you can see that the expenditures in the sewer fund have been way behind, although I believe that's due to timing with regard to some of the projects that are still coming up. And the capital fund, the reason for the big increase in the capital fund is due to the play area expenditures. So now moving on to the cash report, you can see this is now compared to last year. Our cash is pretty much the same. It's down about $350,000 or so, and that's 100% due to the Consolidated Water Fund, which is being drawn down as we expected. So that's the finance report. If there's any questions.
Any questions from any of the trustees? Thank you very much. Thank you. Moving on, Director of Community Services report. Director Witt, please.
sorry about that, working with Vivian to update some of our permit handouts. We've accomplished doing that with roofing. That one change in our handout that we created will reduce the number of failed inspections by about 99%, which will ultimately save both Vivian and myself a lot of time and help to move projects along more efficiently so contractors aren't delayed in the event that there's some code deficiency in their work, which we have been experiencing. So it's looking at how things have been functioning and trying to react to that to see what we can do to improve not only the internal but the external process as well. From a plan review perspective, working on a tracker spreadsheet, which will help us to manage some of the larger projects, larger developments, particularly new homes in different here in Riverwoods than in other communities I've been in. We have a lot of other activities we deal with, particularly wetlands and woodlands, and we want to make sure that we are keeping track of all of those activities. This one single spreadsheet will allow both us and GHA to monitor those activities. Similarly, with inspections, we're developing a spreader track sheet to help ensure that we don't have recurring projects like Baby Vegas that seem to have been going absolutely nowhere for weeks on end, and we are working on that. Also developing a program with GHA to manage the grinder pump replacements. We see a significant number of units that continually come up for repair, and we're looking to handle that on a more proactive basis. And then be working with Attorney Hoover, looking at some potential changes to the village zoning and particularly sign codes to see if they're still effective and how we can change them and just improve the look of some of our buildings. The last thing I would add is I would hope that everybody had a chance to get here in daylight and actually see the level of activity that's occurred at the playground in the last 2 weeks, but I'm going to let Engineer Smith report on that in her report. So that's all I have tonight, Mayor.
Are you sure?
No, but I'll keep it at that.
Are there any questions for our director? Thank you. Moving on to the consultants' reports, the attorney's report, please.
Everything that I have is on the agenda. I'm delighted to be working with Tony and Steve. I've spent a lot of time trying to pass on what little I retain of village operations to them. So it's been very useful. Thanks. That's all I have.
Are there any questions for our attorney? Okay, moving on, engineer's report.
Good evening. Speaking of the play area, we have structures out there. It's coming to fruition now. The hard part is going to be keeping people off of it because now as soon as you put it up, they want to come play. Unfortunately, the rubberized surface is slated to be installed next week just due to timing. Also temperature, Mother Nature is giving us a little blip of hope that we can get some good temperature so this can cure. So we're hoping that next week the rubberized surface can come in and do any kind of final restoration, and then it should be ready, open to play. So very excited. I was finally told, I think that was a 9,800 pound rock that's out there with the crane. So I'm pretty sure if you guys didn't get phone calls, you might have gotten phone calls that there's a big old crane here at Village Hall. Steve was telling me about the fun of it. So, but very exciting. I know it's been a very long process. I know I was new to the whole process, but I know it's been going on for a very long time. So it's very nice to see that it's coming to fruition. We had a call yesterday at 1089 Oakhurst. It's a new home being built. They were drilling in their water main service, and Julie missed the water main by 8 feet and hit the water main. So Steve gave us a call. We talked to our operations guys. They were out there, I think, less than 5-10 minutes to figure out where everything was. Shut out valves, isolated it, fixed it. Everything got fixed, done today. We issued boil alerts that should be lifted shortly. So that was the whole activity that went on a fun Monday. Speaking of water main, Saunders water main, the first phase, we're still slated to go out to bid in November and get some pricing to slowly start replacing that water main. And lastly, fire hydrant painting should be completed. I know some people have questions. They saw them white. That's the primer. So I hope no one really got the phone calls that we're switching hydrants to white.
My neighbors thought they were glow in the dark.
Oh,
Yeah.
that might be, I mean,
look cool.
maybe a good thing, but no, it was a primer. They're red.
It'd be
So,
fine now, but not so
Yeah.
good in the snow. No.
It's definitely one of the first phone calls we always get is, are we switching the colors to the hydrants? I'm like, I didn't know you guys noticed that there's a different color to the hydrants, but you do. So the painting should be all wrapping up. So they should be all red. And then we're working with Steve at getting some stop signs, getting some flags for the fire hydrants that are missing them. So it's kind of the public works side. And that's all I have for anyone.
Any questions for engineer? Trustee Jamerson?
I don't
please.
have a question, but I do have a comment. I believe that Julie, which is the locating service, requested from Springfield to make some changes in how they do their locates. Currently, the locates, if you call it in on Tuesday morning at 9:15, on Thursday morning at 9:16, you can dig. 2 days, literally 48 hours, business hours. And they want to change that to 2 full days. And when they're busy, it may be as many as 10 days. So yeah, it's a huge change for contractors. There's also some issues with markings. Now people are going to have to actually mark exactly where you're going to dig instead of saying it's at 300 Port Wine, and they mark the entire property, which is supposed to save them some time. And lastly, the flags are actually only good for 2 weeks, but they're going to change that to 30 days. And I believe the legislation has actually gone through Springfield. So it might be something we want to, I don't know how we alert our contractors, but we might want to just let them know that those changes are happening. So, and the most critical one is the one that you may have to wait 10 days before you can dig. So, just a comment.
Trustee Clayton, please.
Just a comment as well. In looking at the play area and thinking about where parents are going to sit relative to their children and how close the edge of the play area is to Port Wine, I really think the board should be considering some kind of an appearance appropriate fence along to keep kids from running, because it's probably true that a kid could get from the edge of the play area to Port Wine before a parent could catch up with them from the shelter.
Good point. Excellent point. Can we, let's take a look at that. Director Witt, can we take a look at fencing and maybe get a quote or some kind of design work or something?
We'll take a look and make a recommendation.
Okay, thank you. All right. And I'm hoping that we can target having the play area completed, ready for touching, if you will, before the end of the month, because I would like very much for Trustee Clayton to be here when we cut a ribbon, if we can find a ribbon that big. But it won't be available for the Halloween party, which is coming up on Saturday. We're going to make sure that the fencing is secure and the keep out signs are in place. So just a note. Anything else for our village engineer? Okay, moving on. Our ecologist isn't with us this evening. Plan Commission report, please. Chairman Brightcoff.
Good evening, everyone. The Plan Commission met on October the 5th. We held a hearing on an application for amendment to the special use ordinance to allow video gaming in Colonial Court Shopping Center. Plan Commission voted 3-1 with 2 conditions to recommend approval of the application to the Board of Trustees. The 2 conditions were that there be an updated parking plan and also that screening be considered between the restaurant and the video gaming area. The Plan Commission also had a workshop ably facilitated by Tesca Associates to discuss possible alternatives for land uses on larger parcels in the village. that could be used to amend the comprehensive plan. And finally, we will meet again on November the 2nd. That is it. Any questions?
Are there any questions for our plan commissioner? Okay, thank you so very much. Zoning Board of Appeals,
Now I only have to take 2
Chairman
steps to get
Gradiner.
to the microphone to say, nothing is happening.
thank you. Police report. Sergeant Kirby, please. And thank you for ably filling in while our chief was not available. Really appreciate it.
I was forced to do it, so.
I know.
The police activity since the last meeting is contained within the packet. I discussed with the mayor a little bit ago, and I just wanted to say, we've been getting phone calls reference the Israeli and the Palestinian Hamas conflict going on right now in the Middle East. People have been concerned, obviously, for good reason, both sides. We are monitoring this situation. We're monitoring intelligence with the Illinois Statewide Terrorism Intelligence Center and the Chicago Police Department's Crime Prevention Information Center, which is their fusion center. We've been working with our local, state, and federal partners as far as communicating. And as of right now, there are no credible threats that we're aware of anywhere in the state of Illinois. However, everyone's aware, if you've been watching TV, there have been some isolated incidents occurring throughout the Chicago metropolitan area. One happened out in Will County. There's been some other incidents inside the city of Chicago itself. There's been some letters sent to various synagogues and things of that nature. So we are monitoring it. We request every citizen resident, if you see something, say something. Please call us. If you're unsure if something's legit or not, we would appreciate the phone call so that we can take a look at it ourselves and determine if it's actually a threat or not. So please call us. The other one thing I wanted to add is that it's getting close to the holidays right now. Usually this time of year, we have an uptick in frauds. So, you have to pay your tax bill, you have to this scam or that scam. So anyway, we're asking everyone to please check on your vulnerables, your adults, your vulnerable family members, your friends who maybe aren't so computer savvy or receive these phone calls. No legitimate entity asks you to pay something with a gift card. It's for surely not the government. So please make sure they're aware of that. If for any reason you are unsure about, please call us. We will look at it 24 hours a day. We're open 24 hours. So if there's something weird happens or you're concerned, the time to call is right then and there. Just give us a holler before you do anything so that we can act quickly to stop it. And that is all I have, Mayor.
Thank you so very much. And I know that the force has also put a special watch on our neighbors.
Yes, we've been doing that for the last several days now. That's correct.
Yes.
We have been.
Thank you.
Sure.
Are there any questions for our sergeant? Thank you. Thank you, sir. Fire District Chief isn't here with us this evening. Information and comments from the president. I'll just be very quick because we've got some more important things to talk about, but the status of our organizational structure. From time to time, I've let you know what the Comp and Benefits Committee is doing and has done, and you can really see what the Comp and Benefits Committee has worked on with our Director Witt and Director Vasquez. So in the past 2 years, we've had a lot of changes. We've had changes in personnel. We've had changes in accounting systems. We've had changes with where our utility billing is done. And today we're just moving forward very quickly and very strongly. I think we've got a good team in place. We're very fortunate. This has absorbed a great deal of time and energy on our part to get our financial house in order. And I think we've got all the tools and all the people in place that are good. We were very fortunate that as we were looking for our finance director, we also did our recruiting for a community services director. And the timing was just it was fortuitous. We had Russ wanting to retire and we found Steve, and all at the same time. So it's a great deal happening at the same time, but a good team. We're building a good team. We've also reviewed the operations, the administrative operations. And as we went through that, speaking with the Comp and Benefits Committee, we found out that really we did not need a strictly administrative position. So the position of executive assistant to the mayor was eliminated. We think that there is a need for a part-time village clerk. And I would like to work with Bill Balling, Mr. Balling, who has been our interim finance director and has been so successful in our recruiting efforts, and see what he might think about being able to assist us in finding somebody to fill that spot. In the meantime, the current staff has really stepped up and doing a lot of different things, and we also have support from the police department. One of the staff members there is with us 2 days a week as well. So onward and upward, we're going to keep you informed and hopefully have something for you to talk about at the next meeting. So again, that's just a status report on the organization. I'm feeling very, very confident and really enthusiastic about the team we've got in place. I think we're really going to make some good strides here. So with that, let's move on to new business. First on the list, the approval of property and liability insurance. We have with us our broker from Alliant, and I'd like you to introduce Kathy Easley. You've met her before, and she's going to be walking us through the renewal.
Hi, thank you so much. Again, I'm Kathy Jurisic Easley with Alliant Insurance Services, and I'm happy to present your insurance renewal proposal for the period beginning December 1st today. First of all, thank you again for selecting Alliance and my team to serve as your insurance brokerage representative. It's been our pleasure working with Mayor Ford, Bruce Huvard, Chief Dano, and everyone that we've had the opportunity to work with here at the Village. The insurance market, hard market conditions continue in the overall insurance market, especially in the public entity space. These effects are continuing as insurers and reinsurers are restricting their capacity as a result of continuing trends of nuclear verdicts and jury awards, as well as worldwide catastrophic property losses. Starting the renewal process early with the Village team enabled us to secure an early renewal. So I'm here about a little less than 45 days before the renewal, which is a little bit unusual in this current market. But we've secured a renewal that is beneath where the overall insurance market, where we're seeing kind of on average. Carriers require a lot of information, long applications to be completed, and a lot of requests for additional information. So again, we're thankful to the Village team for their hard work and dedication to that process. Without that, we would not be able to deliver the results that we have. Today's proposed renewal premium reflects about a 7% premium increase, which incorporates increased building values of about 9%, which many of the carriers are demanding in these inflationary times due to costs of construction and materials. Further, with the continued volatility in the cyber liability insurance marketplace, we approached alternate carriers there, receiving multiple options, and ultimately secured the best option from the expiring carrier, which is CFC Lloyd's of London, continuing the same broad coverage at a lower premium than expiring. Our proposal in page 4 of your packet provides a side-by-side comparison by coverage of the expiring to the renewal insurance program. The insurance program with ICRMT continues to offer the services that the Village has come to rely on and benefit from, such as detailed risk control consulting, including policy and manual reviews and open door legal consulting services. The Village has proactively utilized these valuable resources for several years, resulting in the loss experience that leads to the positive results for this renewal. Thank you for this opportunity to present to you today. I'm happy to take your questions.
Trustee Clayton.
Sorry. Just looking at a couple elements of this, the workman's comp is quoted separately. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, you listed it separately in 2 different amounts. The reason why I'm asking is how much of this is based on our actual experience? Because if you take that amount of money and you divide it per capita for the amount of employees that we have, it seems higher than I might have expected.
So what we do, and actually the premium has gone down from last year to this. And typically what we'll do, because the workers' compensation is rated based on categories of employees, so police department, generally a higher rate than the person in the office. And so depending on how those payrolls fall, we'll do, and they differ from year to year, so we'll do and in our larger, broader proposal, we have a comparison showing what those payrolls at the current rating structure would look like. And so when we did that analysis, it is actually a reduction in overall rate based on how those fall.
Okay, thank you. The law enforcement general liability went up somewhat. Is that due to experience or a general overall police department issue?
Right. It's not due to Village of Riverwood's experience necessarily. It's a function of the more global insurance market that I talked about in the beginning, where we're seeing the markets get more firm and requiring increases is in law enforcement liability and in excess liability that you'll see there as well, generally following directly from those coverages underneath it. What ICRMT has done with the entire package is where they needed to get money in the various lines of coverage that are demanding those, they kind of took money out of some of the other buckets in order to come in with that kind of lower overall premium increase.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I do have to say that we experience really prompt, efficient, and when I say prompt, I mean, if we have a question and we email either Kathy or Megan or both, I have an answer that day. We've got great service, absolutely great service. The estimate as we went into this exercise was a 10% increase. We ended up with a 7% increase. We were surprised and gladdened by the 30% decrease in our cyber liability. And that is, I really have to credit Chief for all the things that he's done in terms of well, he's IT and he would be able to explain that. I don't know what he does. But that has really gone a long way into cost savings. The other thing that we take advantage of, and Attorney Huvard has been really good about this, is where we have a question, we have engaged their attorneys, and so they know that we're looking at these things. And I think that is reflected in our ratings. So I just wanted to make those points as well. So I thank you very much for that. And I think, do we need an emotion? A motion to approve the.
Spend 100 or.
Oh, yeah. We need approval to pay for our insurance. May I have a motion to approve the renewal of our insurance, please? And there's a number in the bottom someplace. Oh, okay, got us. All right, we're done. Roll call, please.
Trustee Dicken? Aye. Trustee Hollander?
Aye.
Trustee Jamerson? Aye. Trustee Clayton?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for the kind words.
Oh, and thank you very much. Thank you for being there when we need you. Thank you. Next on the list is approval of an ordinance amending the village code concerning soliciting in the village. Attorney Huvard, will you lead us through that,
Well, I
please?
will try. Chief Dano called me and said that they had stopped someone who had not registered, who was doing commercial solicitation, so they're required to register. And they said, well, it says we're supposed to apply, but it doesn't say actually that it's unlawful to solicit if we don't have a certificate. It just says we're supposed to apply. Now, you know, everybody's an attorney. So the subsection A exists, but the second sentence is new that reads, it shall be unlawful to engage in commercial soliciting without a certificate of registration. So we just closed what appeared to be an odd little loophole. That's the purpose of the ordinance. So if you approve it tonight, because it's an ordinance, we need to waive first reading before we adopt it.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to waive first reading?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Do I have a motion for approval, second reading and approval, please?
Really very nice.
I'll
So
never
moved.
do-
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Hollander?
Aye.
Trustee Jamerson?
Aye.
Trustee Clayton?
Aye.
Trustee Dickon?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And I will get you the number of the ordinance. I'm sorry, I just don't have it handy.
Mayor, may I ask?
Oh, Trustee Jamerson, yes, please.
So I have noticed, not frequently, but it has been more than it hasn't been in the past, people soliciting on the street corners, in particular,
Yes.
not in the middle of the village, but on the edges of the village. So Milwaukee and Deerfield, I've seen them a couple times at Saunders and Lake Cook. And I know that that's prohibited, but it depends on who, and maybe Sergeant Kirby can explain, but I think it depends on who is enforcing that intersection. So I don't know if those are our intersections or if those
Which ones in particular? Milwaukee and Deerfield?
Milwaukee and Deerfield,
So 3/4 of it is ours.
everything but the west side,
No, not, it's the line kind of zigzags, so.
through the intersection.
I
So
think
if they're on the right median, it's okay?
Those things that, yes, but most of the intersections belong to the village road.
Okay. Anyways, I just noticed that, and it seems to be on an uptick.
We'll talk to Chief
although
about
not
it and find out.
huge. It's not huge. It's not like there's somebody there every day like there are in other suburbs, thankfully.
But
But,
I have not received any calls regarding that.
okay, well, I'll start calling.
So there is happening.
I've got Bill's number. Do you want?
I haven't been notified.
Okay,
Maybe it's a day shift thing, I haven't heard of that. I've received no communication regarding that.
okay. And that's fine. I mean, that's good.
Yes.
But I have seen them a couple times, and
Okay.
I don't know how we get that word out other than go there and tell them when they actually show up, right? There's no other way to, so, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next item of business is approval of a resolution appointing the authorized agent to the IMRF. This is something we need to do in order to communicate and direct and answer questions for the IMRF. We are appointing our new finance director, Tony Vasquez. I'd like a motion to approve the resolution appointing, please.
So move.
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion, any questions? Resolution, is that a roll call, please?
Trustee Jamerson?
Aye.
Trustee Clayton?
Aye.
Trustee Dickon?
Aye.
Trustee Hollander?
Aye.
Motion passes. Resolution 23-10-05.
Thank you. Old business. Approval of a request for a donation to the Deerfield Parents Network. Deborah, would you like to say a few words on behalf, please? Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Deborah Steinberg. I'm the treasurer of the Deerfield Parent Network, which is a 501c3. Oh, I did not turn it on. I apologize. We are a 501c3 organization, and we put on programs for the Deerfield, Bannockburn, Riverwoods. Also, we welcome participants from Highland Park, Northbrook, any other people in our community area. We do several programs for parents during the year. And I am here asking Riverwoods to continue its generous support, as you guys have done for a number of years, to help us fund our programs. We operate free programs, and we run completely on village. Our feeder school PTO donations as well as individual donations. A little bit about the programs that we do, just so you have more information. For example, tonight there's actually a program at Deerfield High School that is for what to know when your kid turns 18. And we bring in experts from a law firm that explain to the parents how when a child becomes 18, the parents no longer have access to their medical records. And this law firm comes in and explains, what forms should be filed if you and your child choose to do so when they turn 18, so that you have them on file, especially before your child may go away to college. Because I'm not sure if everybody knows, but once your child turns 18, God forbid, they are in an accident or in the hospital doesn't have to tell you anything. And just a personal thing, I have a friend whose son graduated 2 years ago, started college last year in Atlanta, and had a medical issue at school, and was in the hospital, and his college was like, we cannot tell you anything. And she said, oh, no, you can, and had the power of attorney that this law firm that had helped her fill out, and was able to email it to them, and able to participate in conversations with the hospital for her child. We run some other programs for incoming parents, welcoming them to the school. We do one transitioning to the high school. We do one we just had for middle school students, where we involved the local middle schools, kind of the tweens in the social scene, with all of the social media and the bar and bat mitzvahs and all the kind of drama that comes in there. And a really large program. We in addition to holding programs for our school parents, we actually are trying to get back to additional community-wide programs. And we are actually having a very large speaker come to the community November 30th. Her name is Julie Lithcott-Hames. She's the author of the book, How to Raise Successful Kids. We are advertising that program as much as we can in the community, welcoming anyone who'd like to come, because we think it's such an important program. So those are some of the things we do. If anyone has any questions, hopefully that was a good explanation.
Are there any questions? Trustee Clayton?
Just so I'm clear, this is different, a different organization, different group of parents that do the after prom?
So we are under the same kind of umbrella. It is a different group of parents that put on that after party. And the after party, for anyone who's not familiar, is a free, alcohol-free, it's free to the people attending. It is an alcohol and drug-free event for anyone who's attending prom. So the students, the seniors, and whoever their dates may be, go to prom, senior prom, and then they come back. This year, again, it's going to be at Sack Center in Deerfield, and they stay at the Sack Center from 11 p.m. till 3 a.m. We bring in casino, we bring in inflatables, there's a basketball tournament, we bring in massage chairs, we bring in psychics, and we just try to have this event where we know that the kids can be safe.
Right.
So it is separately run, but we are related, if that makes any sense. We do the Deerfield Parent Network. What I'm here for tonight is like our community and parent programs, and the after party is literally just for that event.
So the funds that we contributed to the after party are not commingled with these
Correct.
funds?
They are not. Okay. They are separate bank accounts, which as the treasurer, we keep separate financials.
Okay. And I noticed that the total village donations that are listed on the income statement were $3,250. Riverwoods contributing $1,000 seems on a per capita basis to be different than I might have expected from a community like Deerfield.
I agree. But we thank you. Bannockburn does contribute as well, and Deerfield has given the same amount as Riverwoods in the past. But yes, technically there are more Deerfield residents than there are Riverwoods residents.
Are there any other questions?
So I have the financials here, and for a total of village donations were made last year of $3,250.
I do have.
Trustee Jamerson.
I'm going to guess, and maybe you know the answer, but does Deerfield donate more money for the after party?
They give the same amount. They have in the past given the same amount as
Everybody else?
yes.
Okay.
All of our, yes,
think-
Trustee Hollander,
On the
please.
same subject, was it that you didn't ask for more from Deerfield, and so it's a standard ask for each village?
I believe this is what we've always just kind of generally asked. It's a difficult financial, I think, time for everybody. I will say that the Park District, which is where SAC Center is, we don't pay for the SAC Center. They give us the use of that for free. A couple years ago during COVID, this is for the after party. A couple years ago for COVID, we could not use the SAC Center, so we had to pay for another facility for our seniors. But the Park District gives us, so in addition to the cash donation from Deerfield, I guess you could say they give us the use of their facilities.
So our kids are just, they're worth more, right?
That's right.
Thank you, thank you.
I'll make a motion, unless there's,
No,
I'll make a motion that we donate $1,000.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Jamerson.
Aye.
Trustee Clayton.
Aye.
Trustee Dickon.
Aye.
Trustee Hollander.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
And thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Make sure you let our kids know that they're worth more.
We just survived homecoming, so thank you for all that you do.
And I would actually welcome anyone who's curious, because we're trying to get, this is the after party speech. We're trying to get the parents. The parents are really in, and all the seniors do come to, for the most part, to the after party. And we're trying to get parents to actually see what it is. So they're working on putting together a little video, which we can forward to you guys if you want as well, to kind of see it.
Sure.
And it's really nice that Deerfield High School does this, because it seems that none of the other neighboring high schools do. And so their kids are dealing with lake houses and, other things.
Hotels
That
and
it's
on and
nice
on.
that, we at least for a few of those kind of 11 to 3-ish hours know where our kids are. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next item are visitors wishing to address the board. Do we have anybody? Hi, Barb, come on up.
Barbara Raff, 645 Thorngate Lane. I just want to thank the village for our shiny red hydrants. They look beautiful, and yes, they are red. And along with our new roads, Thorngate has never looked better. I'm going to go back to something that I asked a while ago before more pressing issues became evident, and I kind of lost track of it. And that was the buckthorn remediation program, if we could be part of that as an association. So just bringing that one up again, because we are always looking to beautify Thorngate and to keep it at its most pristine, in its most pristine state. So we would really appreciate being able to participate in that program. That's it.
We'll follow
Thank
up on
you.
that. Thank you.
RAFF. Yeah. Do I push this again, or is
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the board? Please come up. If you can state your name and your address, please.
This is Summer Zong, and my husband, Herbert Wool. We're at 1733 Walking Street.
Wait.
Summer Zhang and my husband
Herbert Wu.
will reside at 1733 Robin Wood Lane. All right, we're here to discuss the ordinance passed on August 10th this year regarding the short-term rental regulations.
Oh.
Yeah, we did receive a letter from the village regarding, the minimum stay length should be 4 weeks continuously. So basically, the minimum stay should be 28 days. So I just want to discuss this. First of all, maybe I can ask you a question. What triggered this regulation to start with? We purchased our house almost like 6 years back.
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah, we started, actually, I retired, I kind of an early retirement back to 2019. Our house is a huge house, and then we don't use all the spaces. So I think what we're trying to say is Airbnb's original idea is a shared economy, right? You have a space, you don't utilize it, you share with other people, and that's where we started actually in 2020. It's just a master suite, no kitchen, just a bathroom, bedroom, and a big closet to start with. And then we hit a pandemic. Everything just shut down, and then we're surprised, actually doing pretty well. Our neighbors, I don't know, they know or not, because we have, on that lane, we have 2-acre lot. Our neighbors pretty much, I think more or less about 2 or 3 acres. We don't, to see too much of each other. And we try to keep the place very quiet, and guests just love it. I have close to 300 reviews. I have a 4.94 out of 5 stars, super host all the way along. My point is, if you restriction, the sticking point for us is the restriction for 28 days. That's pretty much already past the short-term limit. Even you have other regulations here saying you have to be primary resident, you need to stay there, this and that. Actually, those things probably not going to be applied if you're talking about minimum stays 28 days or more. That's my point. But I think the question, back to my original question, what triggered this regulation change? Is anybody complained?
Yes, I can try and
Yeah.
answer that. We did have some complaints, and we had some concerns that came to the Plan Commission about what the effect would be of increased corporate ownership of homes, where more and more corporations buy homes and rent them on a short-term basis. And I think a number of communities have started to try and be proactive about that. The one exception that the Plan Commission discussed, we didn't have a lot of public input on when it came up, was whether it made a difference that the owner stayed in the home while the unit was being rented out. We looked at ordinances from a number of surrounding communities. Some of them had less than 4 weeks, but then required that only one room could be rented out, or required that the owner had to stay on the premises, or, we didn't have much experience with that in the village of what would work. So I think the original impetus was just to adopt a very easy to understand standard. And I don't think any of us were at the time thinking that there were people in Riverwoods who would be staying in the home and trying to rent out a portion of it. You always stay in the home while you rent
Yes,
it out?
absolutely. It's our primary home. Been living there 6+ years. We love our home, and then the guests love our community as well. They always say you can go up online, B&B and VRBO. They have saying good things about the neighborhood and the house itself. It's a Frank Lloyd Wright's inspired home. It's very unique. Guests just enjoy the experience.
What's
And
the
then-
maximum number of guests that you would allow at?
Countless, I would say.
Just
I mean, 3, up to 3, maximum 3. Most of them couple, 2 people.
But 3 mostly just a child.
Yeah, use
Well,
yeah.
this is, I can speak only from the experience that at the Plan Commission, when we looked at this, was that we were grappling with how to frame all these various restrictions. How many guests you could have, how many rooms could be. Some of the villages said you could rent it out, but for not more than 45 days in a year. That's
know,
very common
yeah,
around
I
here. So rather than pick and choose from a menu of 8 different restrictions, I think we thought that the simplistic solution that would work for most of Riverwoods was to increase the minimum stay, because in that case, you really wouldn't have a corporate owner basically just renting a house out as a business.
But you should be aware that if you minimum stay is 28 days, that's already beyond short term. It's not considered short term.
Right,
So what I'm trying to say is, if I want to buy a single family, I just want to be furnished and rented to be 28 days and plus, I can do that. You cannot force me to be my primary residence.
Right.
You understand that?
Right.
And also, I look at also surrounding our neighborhoods, most established ones, I believe, is Lake Bluff. You think about the neighborhood, they have more acres, not that too dense of a community, similar to Riverwoods. They actually very established. You need to register annually, pay an annual fee. They give you a permit with a number. You need to show up on the platforms, and it has to be a primary residence. You actually have to stay there around the years, 274 days, or if not 274 or 5 days. And the minimum stay is only 2 nights. What I'm trying to say is, if you're thinking about some corporation going to be here, buy and then rent it, it's now our, to start with, right? We're not in that category,
That's
right?
not your model. So I guess
Right.
my suggestion would be, to put a request to the board to consider, the minimum change that you would need for this to work for you. In other words, if you wanted to have less than a 4-week minimum, but wanted to say, but in that case,
Right.
the owner has to be resident when the people stay, and it can't be, maybe if you were to put forward your own proposal for what the exceptions would be.
Our point, you can see very clear, is if you said 28 days, you don't need to be, because it's that beyond short term. You don't need to be a primary residence. Anybody can buy a single family or
This
whatever, can
was-
rent it that
yeah,
way,
yeah,
right?
This was really not an attempt to regulate short-term rentals. It was an attempt to regulate home occupations.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we can put up something. And then according to my research, Lake Bluff is most established ones. They actually collect tax, home tax.
Right.
So if that's the case, we can do a, donation to the parent network, right?
I would say just maybe come up with the proposal.
Thought. And then Highland Park, Northbrook, they all have, you have to be primary resident, you need to stay, more or less about the same, on the same line. And 2 nights is the minimum. So I'm more towards that, if any reconsideration on the audience.
Well, but
changes.
they had other limitations as well, so.
I understand.
I understand. So.
But what I'm trying to say is, from our current situation, if you singled it out, we're very quiet. Our guests even quieter. We don't even allow dogs. Our neighbors have 2 dogs, bark every morning. Consider that we don't cause any problems. So that's what I'm trying to say. But I understand you try to regulate it.
Yes.
I understand.
You're asking to submit a proposal to the
I will.
amendment to our ordinance.
Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephen Fisher, 610 Thornton Meadow Road. I'm a 30-year resident, and I want to address the same issue they addressed, but in a little bit of a different way. My wife and I have aged out of the after party. Thank God we don't have to deal with that. That was a nightmare, but I appreciate your doing it. Here's the bottom line on the Airbnb. If someone has an occasional house guest and they charge for it, who are they hurting? The way I look at this, it's very simple from a village perspective. I'd charge revenue. I'd tax it. And that way you make money, the guests do it. The other thing I think it would do look, and bottom line is I'd like to rent out my extra room. Okay, that's it. And to answer your question before you ask it, 2 guests would be the maximum I would have, husband and wife, that would be it. But there are other issues you can look at too. This also brings in new people to Riverwoods. We don't really, these are new potential homeowners. The property values would go up. We really don't have any other way of marketing our community aside from this. I mean, there really isn't any local advertising left. And I got to tell you, I grew up in Glencoe for my entire life, and I didn't know Riverwoods existed until 30 years ago when we moved in. Now, I can't think of anywhere else I would live. The other thing is I think it actually builds the marketability of the area, and limiting it to 28 days doesn't make any sense to introduce new people, because then my wife would go, oh, let's go away for a month. I have no intention of ever going away for a month. I like it here. I enjoy living here. I hope to die here someday. I'm good with that. But what I would like to ask you to consider is the same thing, was it Summer? Summer did, where, let's have the occasional house guest in charge for it, because it goes to you guys anyway. It goes to my property taxes. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the board this evening? Okay, moving on to our committee reports, Finance and Economic Development. Trustee Clayton, anything more tonight?
Yes, the only thing that I wanted to report on was the fact that we are working on trying to develop the 5-year projections that we have done every year for the last 3 years as a foundation for discussions with regard to the police tax in the current year, and also how much money we want to devote to capital projects in the longer run, and also get a foundation for our budget for the upcoming year. In September, late in September, we issued an email asking for input on capital projects. And the only feedback we got was road projects from Trustee Hollander and the village engineer. So what that says to me is that we have no sidewalks and pathways anticipated for the next 5 years, no stormwater projects anticipated, no Deerfield Road landscaping assistance, no major equipment purchases even for the police department, no building improvements, no expansion of the village center. So obviously all of those things aren't true, but there's no way that we can pull together a long run forecast and estimate our capital needs if we can't get the input that we need. So I'm asking again, could we please get the amounts over the 5-year period of any capital projects that you have conceived of? Not that the board is going to approve, but what we're looking for is ideas that will see how far our capital budget will go over time and how much strain there's going to be if we approved every conceivable thing, and then what priorities and decisions we have to make to parcel that down. So any capital projects that you can conceive of in the next 5 years, if you would please forward those to me along with the timing and just estimated timing. This is all a future projection, not a commitment, and we would appreciate it very much. In the meanwhile, Tony is going to be pursuing the sewer and water capital projects with GHA, and we'll be able to pull that portion of it together as well. And then Tony and I are going to sit down and start doing the revenue and expense projections in the coming week. That's it.
Any questions for Trustee Clayton? And we should all be mindful of the request. It sounds like a wish list kind of thing. Good ideas, and can we actually make them happen? Okay, moving on. Communications, Trustee Dicken, please.
Good evening. I have 2 updates. Both are related to the website. To those of you who visit the website or who read the village newsletter, you may have seen the mayor's statement regarding Hamas's attack on Israel. And within that statement, we referenced a list of local social services and mental health resources that are available to our residents and our community. We're living in very uncertain times right now, and sometimes you may need more than a shoulder, and which is why we felt that those resources were important. And we do plan to establish a dedicated page that will permanently reside on the village website listing those resources. And if there's more that should be added to our list, please send those along. And then the other update is, again, for those who read the village newsletter, you may have noticed a regularly appearing column. It's called the Native Plant Spotlight. These are brief articles where we highlight native plants. We talk about their ornamental value, their description, their growing habitats. And so over the time since we've been publishing these, we've established quite a bit of content. And I thought that it would make sense to actually take that existing content and categorize it so that residents would be able to search for specifically shrubs or specifically plants or specifically plants that grow in a specific riverwoods woodlands habitat. We have the data, we have the content. It's just a matter of organizing this in a searchable way. So this is something that I'm kind of volunteering myself for. I don't have a timeline on this, but as we continue to publish more articles about these native species, this will continue to be added to this database, which I hope to probably release before the end of this year. That's all I've got.
Perfect. And the newsletter is really, really going along well, I think. I mean, we've managed to, really communicate so much. We put bios on there this time and updates on the play area. So tell all your neighbors to sign up, please. Woodlands, Ecology, and Legal. Trustee Eastman isn't with us this evening, but he and I have been working on sort of a tag team with the South Lake Mosquito Abatement District. There has been a little rumbling from time to time about the fact that that could be dissolved. And we certainly don't want to see that. It's probably the cheapest thing on my tax bill and the most loved, certainly at certain times of the year. So we're trying to dig down into that and find out exactly what's going on. We've had some conversations not only with the president of the new president of the South Lake Mosquito Abatement Board, a fellow named George Bayless, who is with Clark Mosquito Control, who supports that effort, and also with a couple of the commissioners to Lake County. So we're going to just keep moving ahead and making sure that somebody from Riverwoods, not only Roger Simonson, who has been a long-term and original board member, but Andy and I are kind of tag teaming and going every other one, just so they know that Riverwoods is interested and Riverwoods is paying attention. So he'll have more to say on that, I'm sure, in coming times. So if there's any questions about maybe just the South Lake Mosquito Abatement Board, I'd be happy to try to field those. Okay, moving on. Land use and roads. Trustee Hollander, please.
Yeah, it's been a while since I reported. I'm not sure if I gave this information before, but it's very quick. We've met with Lake County twice in the last 6 weeks about Deerfield Road. Just some quick notes. They are going to pay us on a per tree removal. So that's how they figure how to reimburse us. I have no idea what the amount of dollars are, nor if it includes, I think it's every tree over 1.5 inches, but there is a formula and they're stuck with it. So we'll be getting some funds for us to replenish the landscaping. Second, they are going to be keeping the retention pond and the availability of an access road, even though Federal Life is not being developed as of today. That's not going to change the way Lake County is approaching it. They're assuming that the property is going to be developed in some fashion and that they're going to maintain that access. Third, they gave us a picture of what the noise wall will be along the eastern part and the southern side of Deerfield Road. It's really a pattern that is impressed upon the concrete wall. It's okay. I asked them about whether or not we could grow ivy or some other foliage whatever Steve Zimmerman thought would be useful so that we could actually cover it in some type of greenery. They didn't say no, but they were concerned about being able to access various utilities and the wall itself if it was covered. I don't have a final answer on that. Fourth item was that they've decreased the number of trees to be removed from 1,000 to 600. It's still a few. And the parcels that are affected have been almost dropped in half from 74 to 42. And I think everybody has received letters, and there is a deadline, as I understand it, to respond. And I do know of some folks that are objecting to what was offered. And I just sent in to Mike Clayton after he reminded me that we do need to budget for our share of how to landscape Deerfield Road. The original estimate a few years ago was $250,000. I just gave Mike $125,000, hoping that we would have, out of the 600 trees, funding from the county that might make up the difference. That's all.
Are there any questions? Trustee Jamerson, please.
Well, I have a question. One of the things that was hanging out there on Deerfield Road was the sidewalk from like Meadow Lake to Colonial Court.
Right.
Is that something we're going to include in, because we're going to end up 4%. Right, but still.
It's 20% of 20%.
Right, which is 4%.
Right. And we're
are we
looking
going
to
to
do
put that into our budgeting?
Well,
did we
we're
decide?
trying
My recollection is that we did not decide on putting the sidewalk in.
My understanding is that there is going to be some kind of fund transfer based on what our responsibilities are for this project, as well as what they have to pay us for some of the things that they're going to want from us. And that's a negotiation that I'm leaving to our capable village attorney. But that's true. We would be paying 4%.
Okay, and then have to maintain it. 4. It's 20% of 20%. Yeah. So but then we have to maintain it.
My understanding also is that the maintenance of it is we don't have to clear the snow off, for example, in the winter. That's not part of the maintenance. But as far as maintaining, if it breaks down, I would assume so.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Trustee Hollander? Okay, thank you. Building and Utilities, Stormwater, Trustee Jamerson, please.
As was alluded to in the financial report, the building department is crazy busy with tons of re-roofing projects. We are at, we had over $4 million worth of construction costs for the month of September. I'm sorry, yeah, month of September, which is, 2.5 times what it was last year. And year to date, we're at $18 million in construction costs, which is a good thing, I guess. I mean, so anyways, they're very busy in the, and we did have one new residence permit that went out, which is the one that had an issue with the water main.
Naturally.
Yeah, so those are all good things. I don't really have anything to report on stormwater or water infrastructure at the moment.
We will have, well, as you know, we're going to have a stormwater management, there's a presentation coming in November.
Yes.
So
right.
For the stormwater report that we've been putting together for the last 8 months, we'll be doing a presentation to the board.
Right.
Last meeting in November.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions for Trustee Jamerson? Okay, moving on, Community Services, Trustee Smith isn't with us this evening. Seeing no reason to go into executive session, the time and date for our next meeting is a regular meeting, and it is the first Tuesday of November, November 7th at 7:30, right here in Village Hall. Motion for adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you.